What's up, y'all? Welcome to the channel. In this video, we're breaking down how to read the setter, kind of. Let's get right into it. Alright, so when I say kind of read the setter, I mean my preference is not to read the setter. I don't think it's the best strategy for success as a blocker. If you try and read versus reacting, you're going to find a lot of situations where you're making the wrong decision and you're out of position, and half of blocking is just being in good positioning and setting yourself up for success by waiting and reacting with quick feet and getting to the ball however close you can get to it. That's my initial thought. But that being said, there are certain times where reading the setter can be advantageous. If a setter has a certain tendency, then that's something you want to target. If you recognize that from film or you recognize that from playing against them a lot or a little, then maybe that's something you can identify and go after. There's other circumstances where maybe a player gets taken out of a play. So as a blocker, you can kind of eliminate them from the play and read into the rest of those hitters by eliminating that initial attacker that may have been your responsibility. So, like I said, I'm not advocating for reading the blocker, but we're going to break down some things that you can utilize to be a better blocker and to be better at reading the setter on where they're going. Because it is a challenge, and especially for my middle blockers out there, this video is really for you because you're the one that has to go pin to pin, make those tough transitions from opposite to middle to outside, back and back, play after play. So every little inch that you can get to maximize knowing what the other team's going to do, hopefully will give you success. So without further ado, let's watch some film. The first play we are going to look at here focuses on reading the blocker when they're out of system. There's going to be a lot of opportunities to get triple blocks when the game slows down. You get maybe a crazy touch like you see on this play. Stevenson's libero dives with one arm to reach for this ball, which puts their setter at about 18 to 20 feet off the net. And from there, Devin recognizes that, can see this is going to be a high ball to the outside, and gets over there and slides for the triple block, and we get 6 hands up and a good block that they're able to pick up, but still, we'll take that all day. 6 hands, seeing that ball, and a lot of teams are going to run a high ball offense when they're pushed 18 plus feet off the net. It's very, very rare that you're going to see someone run any sort of in-system set from that far off the net. There's just a lot of room for error. So Devin's read here is just taking really a shuffle step to the right from his typical base, and then from there he's leading this triple block. I would like to see him be a little bit more connected, so these hands are a little bit closer together, but nonetheless gets a good block touch, and we take that. The next clip that I'm going to show you is on the middle here. So we get a good serve in from Devin, and it's probably like a 2-option pass, maybe a 2-3 option pass. Pretty good pass here, which brings Stevenson's setter right about across the midline of the court, and he funnels this ball in a very narrow window to their middle Aiden for the kill, also knocking my camera. But the thing I want to focus on here is you have to understand the setter you're going up against. Not every setter is going to be able to fit that ball into tight windows like that, and you'll kind of figure out early on if that's the case. If you think that setter is able to make that set, then this is something that you have to kind of take away. So having an understanding of the tendency of the setter allows you to make a read on this play a little bit better. So Pogue is really just waiting and reacting to this play. He's not fronting this middle. He's really just waiting to see the set. And it's just a hair late to this ball. Really in good positioning too. He funnels this ball right to where Devin kind of could be as a defender, maybe a little bit more shallow. But the point I want to make here is you, as a blocker, you have to know what your setter is capable of. If they're capable of making that set fitting in that tight window, you have to be aware. Pogue's first responsibility here is this middle. So if he makes a decision like, okay, I'm going to take away the middle, then he has to be up on time when the middle jumps and take away that set. And if he's on time, this is a complete house. Again, but something you might not be able to know or read unless you have an understanding of what that setter's capability is. So always pay attention, in hitting lines, in warm-ups, in pepper, in the start of a game, what setters are doing, what they're running, kind of get a feel for what their ability is, and then go from there on how you read what they're going to do in the game. In our next clip here, this is one of the most classic tells of a setter. We get a good ball in from Luke, which brings the pass beyond the 10-foot line, and Stevenson's setter doesn't turn his hips square, so he's facing the scoreboard here with his chest, which is a dead giveaway that you're going to set the ball back. Very rare that you will face this direction away from the net and set the ball across your body to the outside. And if you do, good luck making a quality set on that. We'll give them that all day. He does that. Pogue is in a good kind of reactionary position, but that's just a good tell to know when the setter is setting behind them. Again, like when you're 18 feet off the net, you're not in a position where you have to be transitioning right away. There's no way they can set this ball fast enough where you're going to be late. So waiting until that ball is set is fine. And you see Devin gets a good block touch here and they pick it up. But unless that ball is perfectly in system on a 3-option pass, you're not really going to have to make a move to that guy because you'll have plenty of time to get there with the speed of the set. The next clip we're going to show is kind of about responsibilities for blocking. You have to know your responsibilities. You have to know what rotation the other team's in. So here Stevenson's in rotation 5. They're in rotation 5, so they have a front row setter and they have 2 front row hitters. So that means Devin's responsible for the setter, Mason's responsible for the middle. However, they keep their middle set up all the way over here. So it kind of forces them to do some crazy things. So when they bring this ball all the way over here, the setter only has 2 options. He can give this ball to the outside or they can run it back 1. So when Devin sees this ball going all the way over here, he should be peeking at this guy because that switches his responsibility to him once the setter goes to the middle. They run that back 1 and are able to run out of it. We got to dig because Mason sees it and gets a hand on it. But Mason and Devin have to do a better job here of communicating because it's really not reading here. It's just process of elimination. There's 3 front row players. One of them's in the middle, so that means one guy is over here. So that's Devin's guy that he has to either fill in for or communicate to Mason that he's coming in hot on the back. And you can see again from his shoulders, facing the scoreboard. Facing the scoreboard, he likes to go back. Guys that don't square their hips up, generally a pretty good tell on when they're setting the ball behind them. Another example there. The last clip I'm going to show here is just another tendency that I see from setters. As someone that sets the ball a lot in the way that I play, this is something that I see on the court. After the serve from Pogue, you get a ball coming all the way across to zone 4 here, in between zone 3 and 4, and the setter kind of broad jumps into this ball. Now, given the location of the set, it's pretty fair to say where this ball is going to go already. But anytime I see someone broad jumping like this, as a middle here, I'm going to take that step towards the outside. It's really tough to broad jump one way and then set the other way. Not to say that he couldn't make this set behind him, but whenever a setter is taking that broad jump towards the ball, there's a good indication that they're going to set the ball in front of them. Mason still gets there in plenty of time and actually does the smart thing of not putting his hands up here, but just Another little tendency that you can pick up that I've seen from other setters, just something to keep an eye on. Not saying it's going to happen every time, but this is just something that I've seen. All right, this is kind of the last clip I'm going to show, and it's really not anything other than just a warning sign for reading the setter. So this is what we want to avoid here. You can see poke in the middle, take this step left, takes a second step left, and he's out of this play. He's not even close to getting the block touch on this ball. So SVU's outside has the entire angle to hammer this ball deep into the corner. We have to be aware situationally of what's going on, and also we got to find ourselves not taking the bait of jab stepping one way and having to go all the way to the pin the other way. We talk about the split step. That's something I haven't really covered a whole lot on the channel, but it's something that is definitely valuable from a blocking perspective of staying balanced and then making a move from there. But basically, this is what we want to avoid as a middle: stepping one way and having to go all the way across to the pin. I hope some of that information was helpful. I know it can be tough to read the setter. Other factors can also be considered, like dropping their hands, or maybe some more nuanced things like, footwork, timing, stuff like that. But that's really dependent on setter to setter, so not really something I want to elaborate on as broadly as some of these concepts in this video. But that being said, hope you learned a little bit about reading the blocker. Hope you learned a little bit more about why reacting to the setter is a little bit better. And yeah, thanks for tuning into the content. As always, we are hammering out how-to videos for you as consistently as possible. So keep hammering those comments, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace.